It finally happened. Iran has now officially knocked on India's door, requesting support, urging condemnation of Israel's recent military aggression. For over 9 days, the Israel-Iran conflict has intensified, and Iran has now turned to India, asking it to speak out. But that's not all. Pakistan, too, is part of this complex equation, adding more confusion than clarity. Just days ago, Pakistan's Army Chief, General Asim Munir, unexpectedly arrived in the United States. This visit raised questions, especially after reports emerged suggesting that the U.S. might be exploring the use of Pakistani bases to launch strikes against Iran. At the same time, Iran observed unusual diplomatic activity. Pakistan nominating Donald Trump for a peace prize, even while conflicts rage in the region. Iran's embassy publicly voiced doubts. According to Iran's Javed Hosseini, Pakistan is not a country we can trust entirely. Their concerns weren't unfounded. Iran has already experienced territorial tensions with Pakistan and missile activity with Israel, and now it sees conflicting signals coming from its western neighbor. In a global environment teetering on escalation, Iran has turned to India, not just as an ally, but as a voice of moral authority. According to Iranian officials, if any nation can lead the global south and act as a peace-centered force in this crisis, it is India. Iran's request? India must condemn the aggression, not just as a gesture of diplomacy, but as a statement of principle. Iran believes that any peace-loving nation, regardless of its direct ties to Iran, should not remain silent about the strikes being carried out. India, which shares a historically steady relationship with Iran, is now under watch. As tensions escalate toward full-fledged warfare, Iran has already begun to suffer. Civilian lives have been lost, and the country's infrastructure is under serious threat. The International Atomic Energy Agency has issued a warning. Any attack on Iran's Bushehr nuclear facility could result in catastrophic radiation fallout. The consequences would not only affect the region, but potentially the entire global community. Among the many moving pieces is the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical oil trade routes. Iran had earlier hinted at closing it. When questioned about this, Iranian diplomats didn't deny the possibility. They simply said, all options are on the table. That statement alone sent shockwaves through the global energy market. Why? Because nearly 30% of the world's oil trade flows through the Strait of Hormuz. Even the slightest disruption here could destabilize global oil prices, impacting economies far beyond the Middle East. Iran was also asked about the Chabahar port, a strategic location for both India and Asia. While Iranian officials didn't disclose full details, they acknowledged that damage had occurred, and that its ripple effect on trade in Asia and beyond is already starting to show. In short, Iran's repeated requests for India's support are not just diplomatic outreach, they are rooted in survival, trade stability, and regional peace. But there is a deeper message here, one that isn't about Iran alone. This moment underscores India's emerging role, not just as a participant in global affairs, but as a potential shaper of peace. India, a nation often quiet on global conflicts, is now being called upon, not by the West, but by those who see it as a beacon of stability. As Iran seeks voices to de-escalate the conflict, it doesn't turn to superpowers with missiles. It turns to a nation with moral capital, a nation that balances diplomacy without aggression, a nation that builds partnerships without choosing sides, a nation that, when it speaks, carries the weight of a civilization behind every word. Whether India will respond with condemnation, silence, or mediation remains to be seen. But one thing is already clear. In today's world, power is no longer about bombs or borders. It is about who the world listens to when things fall apart. India is being listened to, and sometimes that's the loudest power there is.